I want to say good morning to everybody because it's morning for me, but it's not morning for even our guest today. So I'll just say hello. This is Harck. Welcome back to You Are You Symposium. If this is your first time here, welcome. You are you. You are big old capital letter U. You are unique. You are unlike anyone who has ever been or will ever be throughout all of time. I find that extraordinary. I find you extraordinary. You are universal. And one of our guests on the You Are You Symposium said, you know what else? It's also you are unicorn. So, we invite magic and possibility and appreciation for the sovereignty that's a possible experience for us each individually and for us as community of humans, when we take the courageous path to know ourselves, to live from that deep well of wisdom that is our unique expression in life, and to bring that into the way that we live. So that's my motivation for this call, this podcast, this session. I want to introduce you to my beautiful guest, Jennifer Urezzio. She is the founder, creator, transcriber of soul language and so much more. Today we're going to talk primarily about soul language. It's a beautiful project that has really birthed through her as a model for knowing oneself. So welcome, Jennifer. Happy to have you once again.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. Yay.
Yay. So I know that we have a finite amount of time, and we could talk for hours because we have in the past. Mm-hmm. So why don't we start with what's soul language? That's a good place to start.
Soul language is putting tangibility to soul, not to put anybody in a box, but when you have the words to put to what your soul is and that knowing, you can connect with it in a deeper way. So each one of us has three core energies of soul: your mission, how you fuel that mission, and then your soulful personality, how your soul prefers to go through life. So when you have that knowledge, even for people who've been on the path for a very long time, it really allows you to understand where you're utilizing all of that gifts and energy of soul consciously, or where you're choosing to be in struggle. And then you can consciously connect and utilize all those tools that we learn and have in our toolbox to move from struggle to consciousness.
Okay. So, first of all, what a relief I imagine many people feel when they hear tangibility to soul. And I've been talking about, you know this about me, I've been talking about soul and listening to our soul and living from the depths and understanding of our soul for many decades. And it's often been a challenge. People are like, yeah, I want to do that, but how? I've come up with my methods, but I think that because you're such you have such a value for practical application and tangibility, which I imagine most people don't even ever say the word tangibility in their whole life. Having heard it just come out of my mouth, I'm like, that is such a great word. I'm more the tangential speaker, right? So let's talk about, because I love that on You Are You, we're both offering the wisdom tools, but also the life experiences. So can you share with us how'd you get this? Because soul's not generally tangible.
I got it from asking some really big questions. I knew what my life purpose was, and powerful healer and teacher of service in the spotlight. And I was like, okay, God, that's really groovy. And God is what I call my higher power. But I'm really pissed. Where's my community, and where are my people, and what do I do with this groovy little title? And I was speaking at a conference about essential oils and life purpose. And this woman sat down next to me and went, we're going to be friends. And I went, yeah, I totally get that. Then my inside voice said, why her? and not this other person across the way who looks really groovy, but I don't care if I ever see them again. Like, what's that? And what I heard was soul language, and I was like, oh, okay, so I'm going to keep asking questions. And before long, I had a paradigm, a structure to put tangibility to soul. I had 107 different energies across the 3 different categories. And then I started identifying people's soul languages. And I identified this woman who knew nothing about soul language, knew nothing about the 107 energies of soul. And we identified one of her soul languages as partner. And I said, how does that resonate with you? She said, well, before we got on the phone, I asked myself, if Jennifer asked me my soul language, what would I say? She said, and I wrote down the word partner. And I have warrior energy, and I burst out hysterically crying. She's like, oh, my God, are you okay? I was like, yeah, you just told me I'm not crazy. So, when I tell the story, it seems like, it was like kind of a walk in the park, but it was really like going on a bike downhill without any brakes. And so downloading a paradigm is, and now I support others in doing that, it's a process. And you not only have to download it, then you have to bring it to people. And you have to bring it to the appropriate people. Because
you certainly did have to.
Right. Well,
right? Some of us get wisdom, and it's not meant for anybody, right?
Right. Not at first.
But you started off saying, where's my community?
Right. And then first I was bringing soul language to people who didn't need it or want it, need it in quotes. And so, until I started really kind of listening and going in a deeper way and going, oh, soul language is for people who know that the answer is within them and are just asking kind of the wrong question. Right? And so that's how it kind of was birthed.
All right. So as long as I've known you, and I've lost track of how long that is, longer than this lifetime, one might think, one of the things that I have often said to you, and more often even said about you, is that I love the way that you ask questions. Like, I'm intrinsically curious, but your questions have me go, ooh, I never thought to ask it like that. Like, what made you think of that question? And you just said, and I don't know that I've ever heard you say that part of who soul language is for are people that, like, they want to know, but they want to know the answers to the questions. They just need to ask better questions or ask the right questions.
Yeah, and I think, here's the thing. I think highly intuitive, highly, master healers, spiritual renegades, people with their own paradigm, they're practicing their work, and they've been on the journey. And I think sometimes, doing that and being there is we just know so much. And often when we create a conscious connection, a deep connection with our soul, it allows us for something to pop where we can step out of what we know and go into the knowing. And I think that's really what I mean by better questions.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What?
So I'm sitting on my deck, and
yes.
I'm looking out, and there's a little skunk walking across the way.
Ooh, we're going to, here's...
Oh, and now it's
go ahead.
It's like the kingdom is coming to chat with us.
Oh, my God, that's so fantastic. Love it. And those who, love to follow animal symbol messages can ask themselves the question, or ask higher guidance the question of, what's the energy of skunk? What's the enactment of two very different creatures coming to join the conversation?
If a tiger shows up, I'm going to love this, because that's the animal I want. Tiger.
Tiger, yeah. Do they have those in New Jersey?
No. We have mountain lions, not in.
Yeah. I moved to a place where I live on the island, no creatures like that. So we have a super abundance of deer. I mean, crazy amount of deer. And I have an everlasting chant that it shouts out, deer here. They're prancing through all the time because nobody is after them. They just propagate and live everywhere. There's no bears, there's no big cats. It's amazing to live where there's not more vicious, more powerful, dominating animals. It's a very interesting thing. Yeah. So on to, so here, what I've heard you say so far is that there's, that the soul language breaks itself down into three components, mission, how to fulfill the mission, and the soul personality. But there's 107 energies. So can you kind of talk us through how those 3 and 107 all kind of mesh together?
Sure. So if we mess them all together, 107, that's divinity, right? So our 3 are kind of a PhD in how we want to use those core energies this lifetime. So it's like, I always describe this this way. So the 107 languages is the giant cake batter of the divine, right? Your 3 is your flavoring of divinity, what you are here to kind of master, what you've selected to kind of really support what you want to experience in this lifetime. So my 3, my mission language here is called Equalizer. It's all about creating that perfect formula of balance, first for myself, because it all starts at home, and then for others. My axiom of translation, which is a sophisticated way of saying the fuel of my mission, or how I'll be known here, which is that second category, is called Teacher of Integrity. So all of my life I've been able to see where people are out of the consciousness of love for themselves. I help them to give them the opportunity to get back into that consciousness of love, which means back into balance. And then the third category, which is that soulful personality category, my language is called Graceful Warrior: action, movement, courage, and grace. So when we mesh those 3 together, we have a one-liner, not to put me in a box, but again, as a instrument to go, this is my highest level of consciousness. How do I be there? Is I create balance for myself and others through love, integrity, and courage. And so, when people really start to understand that these are their core energies that they've kind of designated for themselves to support them to really connect with their divinity, to utilize their divinity, life becomes pretty fun. Because it becomes this kind of magical playground of consciousness, and then you get to go, oh, look, there's a skunk, and oh, look, there's a, you get to really kind of see that the world is happening through you and by you, and so life is a lot less full of struggle. And when there are challenges, you have a go-to connection to remind yourself that you're safe and whole and complete.
Beautiful. So tracking the way the 3 languages translate into a statement for you, I can imagine that from other practices I've used and taught and hosted people on, that for a while one could even use that one-liner as a self-teaching, as a capstone, like a mantra to say, like, I create balance, for myself and others. Wow, okay, those aren't just words. Like, if I feel how those resonate truth, right? How they bring the equalizer into place. Right?
That's just a pioneering move, by the way.
Is it?
I went, oh, yeah, totally you could do that. Never thought of it, but totally. Yes, it can become an affirmation and an alignment tool. Of course it can.
Yes, of course.
And that's a perfect use of, your soul language, the pioneer, always forging new roads. And that's what I love about pioneering energy is pioneers go, oh, yeah, there's a road. But, hey, let's go over here and make our own road, right? And so it becomes this, the more options you have to understand yourself, your world, your soul, the divinity, the better you are, because our viewpoint is really still this little puny, small viewpoint, not God's point, and so the more 360 you can see, the more likely that you are going to get in touch with that God point of view, and that's where you participate in the miracles of life.
Mm-hmm. I think you just underscored with that statement. I'm going to go back and transcribe it because what you just said there is perhaps my highest motivation for hosting this show.
Fun.
Right? If people have even just a glimmer more or perhaps an entire path laid out before them from within that's answered through what we're offering on these podcasts or shows, whatever we call these things. I think of them as in-depth conversations. Then we've, contributed beautifully to that ever-expanding connection to the divine.
Yeah.
And, so that's why I do
That's a good day's work.
Yes, exactly. So you just mentioned pioneer, so we can tell everybody my, as Jennifer's been talking about it, the mission is also called Axiom of Quest, right?
Yes.
Do I have that right? And so my soul language in that quest or mission is pioneer. So now we might interchangeably talk about how these show up for us. But there's 107, right? So
there's 107, and if you have a
lots
business,
of things.
Right, if you have a business, you tend to want it, you don't have any languages in common with your business, because most people don't, and you call in a business to do something bigger first for yourself. Yep, first for yourself, and then for others. So 9 out of 10 times you need different energetic support for that. And when a business language is identified, then especially with entrepreneurs, they realize how much that they're not their business and how much, their business is really here to support them, and the conversation becomes easier. And you don't get bogged down so much in the how, because you have a whole metaphysical support team to support that. And that's really where it's fun, because businesses, that energy is just pure consciousness. It doesn't have all of our belief systems and all of our experiences and, the pain of when you were 7. It's just pure consciousness. So
doesn't have your birth trauma. Yeah.
Right. So if you put pure consciousness in it, it's going to act purely conscious. And if you put struggle in it, it's going to act in struggle. And so when we work in tandem with a person and their business, so often I hear, well, I really connect so much more deeply to the business energy. And I'm like, yeah, because it doesn't have your crap, right? Because it's like sitting in this giant easy chair of love, right? So no, the reason why you're not getting kind of what you want out of the business, it's a personal problem, not the business problem, right? So my world is pretty fun, skunks included.
It's skunks and woodpeckers. I imagine that there are people who are doing, wait, what did she just say? Wait, what? Because the perspective that you're suggesting here is not one that most people talk about or ever find, really. And I think what you're talking about also is the kind of in a way, it's an aspect of we are creating this change in the world that humanity has never seen before. We are living it out loud right now. And business may or may not have been what you just described in the past, but it has the potential of being that right now.
Yeah.
And that's extraordinary.
It's extraordinary, and I think, here's what I believe. I believe that there's been extraordinary change in every moment of history because there's huge leaps, right, in everything. I think what's really happening in this time frame is we're really coming up to a power of choice. We're really starting to understand we can choose to be one with the divine, whole and complete, conscious in the consciousness of love and peace, or we can choose not to. And I think what's happening is more and more people are lining up and going, how do I learn how to choose?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a powerful transformational kind of jump in our consciousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think next to...
And an example of better questions.
Exactly. Yay.
Right?
Yes,
Right.
example of better
questions. Yeah. How do I learn how to choose? How do I tap into my power of choice? Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to say that one of the reasons that I love what you've done is that, you used your own soul language as a way to bring this whole thing through. Like, courage? Come on. I think that your story of how the languages reveal themselves to you is a great example of living in courage with that ever-present communication with soul and the divine. I also think that, was that your experience?
My statement is, and it's so often like a warrior statement, like, okay, I didn't think I was doing anything special, like, it's not, it's, right, it's so often, and people will say that about, their kind of greatest gifts. We hear that all the time. Yeah, well, can't everyone do that? No, everyone can't do that, right?
Yes. Yes. Oh, my gosh. What it's one of those, I so understand what you mean, and I see it in, of course, we can see it in others, like, I'm like, how do you not know that about yourself? Like, that's, like, your most exquisite aspect, or I see that strength in you and completely, but then, to see it in ourselves, like, really, do I have that? Which is one of the great gifts that I think soul language can bring, is that we can start to see more and more of ourselves in that reflection of the soul energy.
I'm nodding my head.
And not in my head. And not in my ever-changing head that now thinks that this has been the way it's always been, which is a whole big thing, I think, in itself. So where do I want to go with this? Because I think that if we look at tangibility to soul, and where we were a moment ago was, okay, so people have their own soul language, which has also the imprint from the person's life, right? So from what our life traumas and struggles and our core wounds, but also our grace and experiences of love and acceptance or challenge. And then there's soul language to business. Are there also soul language to partnerships like marriages? Are there soul languages between people and places? Yeah.
Places, you can't really identify a place because nobody really has permission over that place. So I wouldn't know, like, who spiritually to ask. But sacred partnerships, yes, I can identify the soul energy that comes together, brought by two people, whether it's two collaboration partners, whether it's a marriage, whether it's, a romantic relationship or a friendship. And then what's really groovy, there's Jennifer Bloom does soul language and money, so she can identify the sacred partnership between you and money. And then I do identification of the sacred partnership between you and the divine. And of course, my language, my mission language in that category is called Pioneer. And I went, oh, of course. Now it all makes sense.
Of course.
Right? And so whenever I kind of, turn my fist and cursing kind of God, and that's what I call my higher power, I go, oh, wait. Okay, what new road are we forging here? Okay. And it allows me to remember, oh, wait, God knows who I am.
Yeah.
I've had time and time examples of, for it to be more clearer that God knows who I am, he grew up Catholic, would have to sit down next to me and say, hello, because some of the kind of examples that I can give are so tangible, so in your face that they can't be denied.
Can you give us an example of what you're talking about?
I'll give you a great example. It's
okay.
Such a freaky example. So I'm coming home from having dinner with a friend of mine, and it was a good dinner, but I was feeling kind of sad. My dad passed away several years ago. We were not in the best of relationships, and I've been working on kind of the dead dad issue for years, and I was just feeling a little sad about, missing my father. And I was like, okay, God, okay, Dad, I want a big sign that, you know who I am, that Dad loves me, like I want it in my face. So I turn on the radio and a song comes on, and, it's like one of my father's songs. I was like, yeah, you know what, that's not an in-your-face sign. That could happen to anyone. And so the song goes off, the radio announcer is talking about how people are calling in about, music, the dance age and music from the 70s and, going to the clubs. And he goes through all these clubs, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. And then he goes, yeah, and at Brothers 3. And I'm driving, and I literally almost went off the road. Brothers 3 was the name of my father's bar when I was growing up. And A, I'd forgotten about the bar, and B, I didn't even know they had live music.
Huh?
And for that to occur, I was like, okay, I get it. Mm-hmm. Like, even thinking about it still brings up tears, like, that's pretty awesome. Like, to have that tangibility of going, okay, so next time I down, I get to remember this, and it's such a tangible, it's such a in your face. And so often when we're, we kind of ask for those signs in your face, and we're getting them all along. We just don't know we're getting them. And I think that creating that conscious connection with your soul allows you to be more present to the profound fact about how we are so connected and we are so provided for. And it's a matter of working the system. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's a matter of accepting it and kind of getting on the bus rather than spending so much time letting the bus pass us by.
Right. I think it is a beautiful example of, okay, I could not have made that up because I didn't even remember it, right? And I think that there are times when we've heard so many different words of expression of this energy you're talking about, of how things get, let's say, delivered to our consciousness. So in The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho calls it omens. In human design, they say watch for the signs. I usually refer to it as synchronicity, which is more of a Jungian approach, and playfully call them God's nods, right? Like, or God's just, God, whatever your expression of divine, but just, I like to play on words, that kind of like God's just nodding in agreement, like, yep, here, this one's for you. This one here is, and they come constantly. They're with us always. And then we notice them or don't. If we don't, it doesn't mean that they're wrong or that, we're blind. We just didn't notice them. We're busy. We're distracted. We're not trusting, whatever. And then when we notice them and take them in, because you took this one in, like it nearly drove you off the road. Okay, I got it. But how often we get the God's nods or the big signs, and we might have that moment of epiphany. It's so amazing. I love that happened, and then make it mean nothing.
Yeah.
And I watch a lot of pain manifest from that. Oh, meant nothing. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Oh, that was fun. No, never, but whatever, it didn't mean anything. Except that it's your connection with the divine.
I think that's because humans are under the interpretation that pain is much more entertaining, much more interesting than connection. And you know what? Pain is kind of boring. We all have the same pain. Like, we all can describe it the same way. We all kind of feel it the same way. You know, what's really personal is connection. It's really personal.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting, right? And it's really juicy to talk about, you know.
Yeah.
Well, but I think that we're, you know, for so many years, decades, centuries, we've connected on a pain level where we're just beginning to really connect on a true level, which is divinity, which is where the excitement is.
It's in awe and euphoria and curiosity and grace. And I think you just gave an example of the power of choice. Like, can I choose to focus on connection? Can I choose, you know, what in any given moment, what's my opportunity to focus on connection, to focus on divine, to focus on beauty, to focus on love, whatever the words or meanings are that connect you.
Yeah.
I have to say this. I've never heard you share that story about the big sign and your dad.
It did. It just happened not even a year ago.
Really? So,
yeah, happened recently.
And I'm sure you know this, but I have to say it. I can't let it go unsaid. So here you are talking to God. God, you know, like highest spirit, let me know. And then what comes through could be anything, but what is it? It's the bar your dad used to have. And what do they do at bars? They serve alcohol. And what's the other word for alcohol? Spirits. So your dad was like, it can't
not
get any
that
clearer.
That's good. That's good.
Do you think she'll get it now?
That's good. That's good. I did it obviously because you had to tell me, but that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah, you know, I think it's. You said a couple of really great things. One, you know, I'm consciously transparent, so you know, I'm always stretching that, and I'm always kind of, you know, going, all right, you know, I need a little support, and I'm also, you know, sometimes we get things and we don't know, and so we might need a little help interpreting them. And, you know, it's okay for me personally to kind of, I'm comfortable at shaking my fist at God. I'm comfortable at asking. I'm comfortable in having that conversation. I'm comfortable in going, I heard that, but I can't get there. So is there a plan B? And I think so often, you know, people don't have the conversation because they're so afraid of what that conversation is going to lead to or what they're going to hear. And, you know, God has never told me I'm unworthy or unloved, you know. And so I let that go a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And even for someone who may have had the experience that they were told that by the divine, I'd question whether it was actually the divine who told you, for starters. And
did it sound like the tone of your mother?
Yeah. Or your priest or, you know, some school teacher or the bully in the schoolyard, whatever. How do people find out what their soul languages are? Because I imagine people are going, well, wait.
Well, I offer everyone.
What am I?
I offer everyone a discovery session where one of your languages will be identified. It's my gift, so people can go on soullanguage.us and sign up for that. And that's really the first step. That will give you a good sense if this is for you and if it resonates with you. So I suggest people take me up on that.
I do too, and I'd say that that's how you and I met. I had a discovery session. I discovered that I was, pioneer, and then, you know, they can get your book to deepen in that, right? But the book will just be like a weird experience if you don't have somewhere to anchor. Unless, of course, you're just asking your own soul and saying what resonates here and what do I see in myself. But the process that you go through is so simple, and that people could even discover in 15 minutes, like, oh, really? That's it, huh? And you leave them with tangible tools is one of the things that I know you have a strong value for and always provide from what I see.
Thank you.
Soullanguage.us, correct?
Yes.
Website. And you'll find that also on ureusymposium.com. That's U-R spelled out, letter U, symposium.com. On the podcast pages, we're sharing all of the speakers' links, so you can find that there. And if you're enjoying the conversation with UR about soul language and have any questions or want to share what languages are being revealed to you and how they're translating into your life, I welcome you to come on to our URU Facebook group. It's just search it. You'll find it on the website, the link to it, but also search on Facebook URU Symposium and ask to join there, and we'd welcome you in and invite you into participating in the community that is forming and growing there. So I love you, Jennifer. I'm so happy that you continue to be in the level of curiosity and grace that you are, and that you are so transparent in the way that you teach and continue to grow and contribute. I really
Thank you so much.
appreciate all that about you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, as you know, Jennifer, I love ritual. I love brilliant questions, which I honor you always for asking. And I have a combination of those as the closing ritual for our show today. The name You Are You, as I said in the beginning, has, the references between, all the fun, playful meanings of you are unique, you are unlike anyone who has ever been or will ever be. And it's also a play on the words from you are to I am. And I am is one of those most powerful, grounding, spiritual phrases. And such a beautiful place for us to use as a grounding to complete our time together today. So with that, I ask you, as you experience the I am, yourself as I am, how do you continue that as a sentence? I am.
Consciousness. Yeah. It's so funny. I was talking to someone today and about, how I normally say I'm the spiritual director of soul language, and I'm like, wow, I'm gonna change that to conscious director or conscious leader. And I went to go change that on my signature, and it already says that. So, oh no, that happened. But that's freaky cool.
That's manifestation, man.
Yeah. So, I don't know how that happened, but that is what I strive and I participate in and every day, and that's my intention. So that's how I would do that statement.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for participating in the ritual. I sometimes imagine that we could, me and my imagination sometimes get a little carried away, but I love the idea of, a video perhaps of a sequence of people stepping into the I am presence and saying their I am. And just feeling and watching the energy of the flow from one person to the next. And I get that experience because I get to have each conversation, and I invite our guests to have that too. So thank you for sharing yours.
Thank you. It's a wonderful ritual, and it'd be a very powerful video to see everyone's I am.
Would it? Wouldn't it be amazing? Yeah. We'll just, it's in the ethers as a dream there. Maybe somebody listening will say, like, well, I'm a video producer. We could do that. You never know, right? So for all of you listening, thank you for being a part of this movement and mission that I feel graced to be facilitating. And I look forward to continuing to connect with you. If you're loving it too, join us, subscribe, do all those things, share with your friends, or keep it to yourself, however it feels right to you. Until next time, I bid you well and send you much love. Bye for now.